It's time we ditch the one stat dumpers and make bows strength based. So, in reality, in order for you to draw a bow and shoot someone far, far away and actually have it do damage, you typically have to be swole. You gotta be strong. And yes, there is modern bows that you don't need to pull that much, but back in the day, you had to do quite a lot of heavy lifting in order to pull that bow and shoot. So, the reason why I want to make bow strength based isn't because of realism, because who cares about realism in a fantasy game, right? It's more so about game balance. So, here I want to show off why I think we should make bows a bit of strength based. First off, here I want to have dex for the attack roll and strength for the damage roll. What this does is it allows you to use two stats at the same time, which is something that almost never happens ever in 5e, right? So it's been sort of decided that dexterity is your aim, I guess. But dexterity has nothing to do with your ability to actually damage people, right? Maybe it's perceived as you are hitting better places and that's why you get the dex bonus to the damage, but I don't really buy into that. I don't think that's as fun. What I think is more fun is adding strength in there as well, because once again, using two stats at the same time is a ton of fun, but two, make more stats matter. What ends up happening a lot is whenever people make characters, especially at point buy, you typically see that someone leans into one stat heavily and then completely dumps the other, whether that be strength or dex. I think that there should be a marriage between the two. Make strength and dex both matter at the same time. And not just for this, but also for other things, but I'll be getting to those in other videos. This also gives melee an edge. So when it comes to a ranged versus a melee person, what ends up happening is you're able to somehow run 30 feet and draw perfectly and shoot someone and bam, you do damage. If you are using the same damage die as some melee person, what this means is that the ranged people have a clear advantage over the melee people, and the melee people are typically the ones that suck. If you break down the three archetypes of characters being melee, ranged, and magic users have a clear edge because they can do all sorts of crazy tricks. The ranged people have an advantage because they start doing damage earlier, so the poor melee people are left to suck. If you reduce the damage overall, then that does mean that the melee people do have a bit of an edge. But at the same time, that might not necessarily be the case. You may not see less damage, but what that does mean is if you're pumping your stats into both strength and dex, then the other stats are suffering a little bit, and then that's the balancing act there. What I do think should happen though is we keep crossbows for dex only. What this means is that, one, we get to see more crossbow use, because unfortunately in D&D we typically see that crossbows get used far less frequently than bows. I think crossbows should matter, so we keep crossbows purely for the dex folk, and that's fine. Because you're just shooting the thing and you then could apply the, oh, you are shooting the correct places, because you can't make the crossbow shoot any stronger, right? And strength has nothing to do with it. And lastly here, we make PCs more heroic. So what this is if you have enemies that are archers and they're shooting your PCs, they're probably going to be doing less damage, which is really cool because that means your players get to end up being like pincushions and continue fighting on. Then you have those situations where it's like Boromir, where someone is getting shot up, but they keep on going, and that's totally awesome. It feels great to get hit a bunch and still continue on, because that makes you feel like you are a badass. So I'm curious what you all had to say about bows being strength based. There's actually a basis of that in 5th edition. In Waterdeep Dragon Heist, there is an item that is a bow that is used as strength, which, you know, that's totally awesome in my opinion. But it also uses strength for the attack roll, which obviously you could sit there and make your own decisions on that, right? I think that making a marriage between strength and dex is definitely a way to go. So go ahead and tell me, do you plan on using strength for bows and leaving the crossbows for the dex people? Or are you going to leave the game as is? Do you think that strength and dex should pair more together, or are you okay with those things being completely separate? And do you think melee people need an edge, or do you think they're already strong as is? Go ahead and tell me those things, because I would love to hear it. But that's going to do it for me. Thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. And thank you to my amazing patrons. You guys are absolutely incredible. Thank you so very much. And I cannot wait to see you all in the next one.